Courtney, I understand you have some other credits as an actor. I mean, I've got a note here that you've been in Children of the Corn.
Yeah, that's the number one horror film that I'm known for. I played Malakai in Children of the Corn. That's probably,
Right.
it's, I guess, considered like one of the top 50 horror characters of all time. So it's, even though I've done 60 some odd credits since, it's still probably the most recognizable role.
Colors is another one.
Correct.
The Berbs.
Yeah, Tom Hanks and Berbs. Yeah.
Berbs. Memphis Belle.
Yeah.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, played the sheriff in Reese Witherspoon's
Okay.
movie. Yeah.
Benny Bliss and the Disciples of Greatness.
Yeah, that's a movie that I just starred and that I also produced that we just locked our DVD deal, so it should be coming out this year. It's a rock and roll road comedy about a character who gets through electric shock therapy, gets a message from God that we've become too addicted to all of this technology. So it's an anti-sort of techno slant, but in a comedy bent.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And I commandeer a band, and I play all the music live. All the musicians are real, and wrote about 4 or 5 songs in the film. So it was really a lot of fun for me.
Martin, what gave you the insight to select Courtney as the principal protagonist here?
You know something? I had watched Children of the Corn, and prior to meeting Courtney, about 2 months ago. So it was in the back of my mind. And when I was thinking of characters we were developing Discipline, he came up, his image came up, because he has a very strong, especially in that movie, Children of the Corn, a very strong personality, very interesting personality. I went into an elevator and I met him. And during the course of going to 2 or 3 floors, I told him, I wrote a movie for you. Well, you remember that?
I remember.
That simple.
And I guess I surprised him with that. And then we had an opportunity to have a small conversation afterwards. And I guess I broke through in the sense that I had the opportunity to talk him into having me send him the script so he could read it. And I sent him the script, and for the next couple of weeks, I didn't hear anything from him. I mean, I was like, what? I didn't want to call him and bother him. So, but one day the phone rang. He says, "I like it. Let's talk about it." And then we started to talk about it.
In terms of the principal photography, I think the location was primarily Los Angeles, wasn't it?
Yes, it was all shot in Los Angeles.
The areas here.
Locations all over, the downtown and all over the place.
All right. Do you remember some of the names in the feature, Martin?
Some of the people that were in the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, Jim O'Donoghue is who played the professor.
Yeah.
Alexandra DeVecchio, who played the girlfriend. And Mark Archuleta, the reporter. And Eric Campos,
the best friend.
And Eric Campos was the cop.
Mr. O'Donoghue is the person who was the professor, who was one of the exponents of pain and how he was teaching his students to go out. And Courtney at the time was one of, I guess, his favorite student at that point. You became his principal.
The topic was music, sex, and pain.
Yes.
And I ended up coming up with an idea to write a concerto of screams. I found that a fascinating thing.
That was
one of the things
fascinating.
that hooked
I thought
me
that
into
was fascinating.
the music. And Martin's also a very good musician. I don't know if people know that. He's quite a keyboard player and stuff. So I knew that the music would be good. And that's an interesting out there concept, and that propels this guy into the scene and finding people who, anywhere he could get a scream, essentially, he would hunt them out to try to get authentic pain.
I remember that. That was
samples.
A very interesting feature of the whole movie. I mean, just that, and I think that's a unique subject in and of itself. I have never seen anything like that.
No.
Of all the features that come out of Hollywood, who haven't seen anything, so it's really unique in that sense. All right, now tell me your favorite scene, Martin, if you have one.
My favorite scene of the movie. Guys, I have so many favorite scenes.
I know you do. Pick one that's exceptional.
One that was interesting for me to shoot, so to speak, and that I like as the sequence is Sita's sequence. I like that very much in the...
okay, tell us who Sita is in the feature.
Sita is the owner of a nightclub, and she's also a performer. And she sings a song that's a really unusual song because it has a Latin kind of flair and it doesn't really fit with S&M. It's not a heavy, but the words of the song are exceptional, and you got to really just hear it, you know.
It's a very sort of burlesque, wouldn't you
yes,
say, the
exactly,
whole performance?
Yeah. I was inspired a little bit by cabaret, you know, and that thing, and the absurdity of the whole of what we were doing, you know. So that was one I particularly liked that scene. I liked it how it turned out, you know, and of course I liked the beginning or end sequence of the movie, which is sort of a little bit like a...
You want to tell us a little bit about the... Let me go to Courtney and have him explain the beginning, and you're going to tell us about the end and how they relate to it. Courtney, just... Actually, what I want to do, I want to ask you what your favorite scene was, and then we'll go together.
I'd say two things stand out. The scene the first time that I go to a real SM club and meet the real dominatrix, and I get whipped. It's visually, it's really awesome. It just the look of it, the slow motion, and against the classical music. I love that. And I would say my lastly, and this is something we found as we went in the script. What I really learned about the scene is, which we talk about in this monologue at the end when I come into power, is that the scene is really about power. That's really, it's a transfer of power. It's usually, the actual thing is that the people who are powerful usually become the submissives, and the people who are not so strong become the dominant. It's like this switch of power thing that happens. And we address this in a monologue at the end that I like very much. So I'm really happy with that scene.
All right. Martin, kind of, we'll go back to our previous question, kind of tie in the beginning and the end, as you say. There's a uniqueness to this.
Well,
Tell the audience.
The beginning is we took the end of the movie, which is an intense sequence featuring Courtney when he's tied up in a cross. And what I did is I re-edited in such a way that I don't give away what happens. I only give away certain things in the beginning. You know, where when you see that scene again at the end, you see much more, and it reveals things that will surprise you. But in the beginning, what I also did, I decided to do, since they were going to be both pretty much sort of the same sequence, what I did is I tinted. I used digital color correction to tint the beginning, and I'm really happy with the result, because what we achieve is a bluish kind of tint with preserving the reds, which were important for the blood and for the lips of the woman. And so it was very hard to do, to get that, because we always kept tinting it everything blue and we couldn't get the red out. And so we fought with that for a while, but I'm really happy how it turned out, you know, because it really pulls out the blood, and it really pulls out the lips, and anything that's red in the picture just brings it out, but everything is blue, you know, so you know, you check it out.